The mess, the drama, the dramatic split, and rumors. Fifth Harmony was a force to be reckoned with. In the 2010s, when girl groups weren't girl grouping and there was a gap in the industry, Fifth Harmony was birthed out of X Factor. But it was possibly one of the most chaotic groups we have seen in recent years. From drama between the girls to scandals, toxic fan base, and a nasty split. What really happened to Fifth Harmony and the bad business that plagued their downfall? The streets are saying a reunion may be coming. Why, after all of these years and the trauma they've endured, would they want to return? Hey guys, it's your girl Cameron and I'm back at it again with another video. Today we are going to talk about what happened to Fifth Harmony. In May of this year, Allie, Dinah, and Lauren, 3/5 of Fifth Harmony, reunited courtside at an LA Sparks game. And a few weeks later, it was reported that 4 of the original members were in talks to reunite. So this felt like the perfect time to talk about what happened to Fifth Harmony. A group that was very messy, but arguably wasn't appreciated for their impact at the time, their contributions. And a lot of people have reminisced about their peak because they felt like they did not get the respect that they deserved while they were out and breaking these records. So with a new wave of Western girl groups coming in like Flow, Say Now, Cat's Eye, as chaotic as Fifth Harmony was, because chaotic is the best way to describe this, they absolutely left their mark whether people recognize it or not. So today we are telling the story of Fifth Harmony from top to bottom, their career, the breakups, scandals, and where they are today, as well as what's the future. What information do we have about this? We are going to get to all of the juicy stuff today. There's a lot of tea here. If you are of age, grab yourself a glass of wine. Bottoms up, baby, because this is a lot. So comment down below, what did you guys think of Fifth Harmony? What stands out the most in their journey? There are so many nuances here. Hit that subscribe button down below if you'd like to see more commentary content. Thank you guys for watching today's video, and let's dive straight into the video. Psych, but not psych. Before we dive into this, just understand that groups are complicated, and that's why communication and seeking to understand is key.
It would definitely have to be communication. Communication is key.
My girls have a lot of issue with that, and we'll learn that today, don't you worry. But think about your real life friendships, family, and specifically romantic relationships, how they can all go through some of these similar struggles. And I know firsthand how important it is to maintain and deepen a long-standing relationship. For example, my boyfriend and I are coming up on our 5-year anniversary. Thank you. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. We know each other so well, but there is always more to uncover and connect on. So that brings us to today's sponsor, the Paired app, a relationship app that's specifically made for couples. Paired has daily activities created by experts and guided by research. You guys can both download the app and engage in conversation prompts, quizzes, tips, and challenges. It makes it easier to prioritize and carve out that daily time together. And I know this firsthand because we moved in together about a year ago now, and you get really stuck in that routine. So the Paired app is really great to take that time to really prioritize your partner. And there's a feature on the app called Start a Journey, where you can really identify goals you have together, things you want to address. And one of those journeys is talking about the move-in phase. So that has really given us and opened the floor to feel comfortable to talk about our expectations, how it's going, how we feel about it. And as much as I love to get deep, y'all know I love a good deep dive, I also love games. Give me a question game, give me a card game, I'm happy. So we've really been enjoying the quizzes and games on the Paired app. There's this excitement that you have, like my heart starts beating a little fast when you're waiting to see the other person's answer, to see if you guys were in sync, to see if your answers matched up. And we also get kind of competitive. So it's a really good time and it lightens the mood. And one of my favorite gems is the timeline feature, where you can track relationship memories with one another. So if you don't use the app for anything else, this is a great time capsule that you can have for years and years to come. Click on my link below to get a 7-day free trial and 25% off Paired Premium, so you can maintain and deepen your connection with your partner. Thank you so much to Paired for sponsoring today's video, and let's get right into, for real this time. Let's get right into the video. So let's start with the very beginning. Their name alone, Fifth Harmony, was clearly made of 5 members. So we have Ali, Normani, Dinah, Lauren, and Camila. But what were their lives like before their presence graced our screen in 2012? Normani Corday Hamilton was born May 31st, 1996, initially born in Atlanta, but raised in New Orleans. Stay with me. Unfortunately, her family had to relocate due to Hurricane Katrina in 2005, so Houston, Texas it was. Bitten by the performance bug as early as 3, she competed in beauty pageants, dance competitions, and gymnastics. Likewise, her and her mother traveled from Houston to LA, frequently for auditions in singing, dancing, and acting. Then we have Ali Brooke Hernandez. She was born July 7th, 1993, and is from San Antonio, Texas. Of Mexican descent, a noted struggle of hers was being looked at differently for not speaking Spanish growing up. Essentially the whole no sabo kid trope. Latinos who don't speak Spanish, something that yes, they do get flack for. When in reality, her parents decided not to teach her so she could avoid being discriminated against in school. But that didn't stop her from pursuing her dreams early on. And at about 12 years old, she was in and out of the studio, with her parents traveling to LA often to explore showbiz, taking her on auditions for musicals and movies, which she noted not often landing really anything. So she was waiting for her big break. Next, we have Dinah Jane Hanson, who was born June 22nd, 1997. She is the youngest girl of the group. She was born and raised in Santa Ana, California. And one really surprising fact that I never knew until researching for this video is she's a member of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. In shorter terms, Mormon. She grew up a Mormon. Dinah is Polynesian, but more specifically Tongan. An identity she was actually told to suppress and hide. While the other group members could embrace their Latina sides and their ethnicities, Dinah wasn't really able to be as open about hers because she was so racially ambiguous.
I was encouraged, or not encouraged, I was advised to put a piece of myself, my culture, in a drawer and push it away for just a little bit, just to fit in.
She has a large family, being the eldest of 8 children, growing up with over 24 family members in her home, which is very common in her culture. Music ran through her veins, with her mother a singer and her grandmother a pianist. And at 7 in Orange County, she would go and sing at events and sing the national anthem. Next, we have Lauren Joregi Morgado, who was born June 27, 1996. And may I say, there are so many Cancer queens in this group. I'm a Cancer myself, so I don't say this in disrespect, but that might be why this group was so emotionally chaotic. Anyways, she was raised in Miami, Florida, being of Cuban American descent, going to Catholic school on academic scholarship, IB program, softball team, etc. But the arts were always a form of expression for her. So dancing, singing, writing, choreography, choir, you name it, she did it. Lastly, we have Camila Cabello, who was born Carla Camila Cabello Estrabao, who was born March 3rd, 1997 in Havana, Cuba. Her dad is Mexican while her mother is Cuban Mexican, and her family moved to Mexico City when she was a young girl and was raised for a portion of her childhood there. At 6, she moved to Miami, Florida, where her mother and her took a 36-hour Greyhound bus to Miami. Cabello did acquire her citizenship in 2008. She was initially in high school, but left in 2012 to pursue her singing career. Already, we have 5 different girls from 5 vastly different backgrounds, different stories and upbringings. How did they find their way together? Well, we have X Factor to thank for that. The year was 2012, and X Factor US was in their 2nd season. Just some cliff notes: a singing competition show that was created by Simon Cowell and his company Psycho Entertainment. Its original version aired in the UK in 2004, and the US version was created in 2011. So it was quite common that when people came in to audition solo for X Factor, they could be placed into a group, which is the exact origin of the girls' story. Same thing with One Direction. Apparently this season, Simon did have the idea to make another One Direction Little Mix, but in the US. Participating in season 2, each girl auditioned as a soloist in the teen category, except for Ali, who was 19 in the young adult category. With Simon, Demi Lovato, L.A. Reid, and Britney Spears as judges or coaches. And Allie auditioned in Austin, Texas with a captivating theatrical performance. But in Allie's 2020 memoir, which we will talk about much later, she offered more insight into what really happened in this moment and how the show portrayed her. They edited the judges looking visibly annoyed because she wouldn't stop singing, and cuts to the audience laughing. Like, for instance, the note held at the end in Britney's face. And she said she didn't really recall these reactions in real time and felt embarrassed by how it was spliced and put together, portraying her as arrogant. And this is something that has haunted Allie throughout her entire career in time in Fifth Harmony.
When my X Factor audition aired, that audition made me look maybe a little, like a little full of myself. And people were so mean to me after that audition. They were like, she is so arrogant, she's so full of herself, she's this and that. So that's why I feel like I always declare by myself.
Normani also auditioned in Austin, and they all unanimously seemed to enjoy her performance and charisma. Camila auditioned at 15 in Greensboro, North Carolina, singing Aretha Franklin's Respect. You can try scouring the internet for her audition, but it wasn't aired because of copyright issues. Lauren auditioned in Greensboro as well. Again, a very full and mature voice on the mic with a confident stage presence. And Dinah Jane auditioned in Providence, Rhode Island, tackling If I Were a Boy by Beyonce. A very bold move to say the least, but she had a very strong vocal presence, especially being 15 years old. 15, y'all. I will say this, I do think LA took a little bit too much dip on his chip with this comment.
It's so tough to take a song from Beyonce and actually do it justice, but I have to tell you, you took that thing to places that even Beyonce didn't take it.
You know, she was 15. Based on the auditions alone, you can tell that they all had very unique vocal talent and favorable opinions from the judges, but a blanketing theme of pitch issues that would need to be worked on honestly followed them throughout their entire career. Unfortunately, though, none of them progressed to the next stage after auditions and were eliminated during the boot camp as solo artists. But it wasn't over for them when they were later brought back and put together by the judges to form a group. Better together, weaker apart. And their qualifying song at the judges' house secured that spot and solidifying that the judges made the better choice to put them together and maximize their impact. Their name was initially the Lilas, which is an acronym for Love You Like a Sister, which I'm very glad that they did not use. That wouldn't have aged well. But they had to ditch the group name. They had to ditch it because a group already existed with that name at the time and claimed that the show stole it. The group, the Lilas in question, are Bruno Mars's sisters. And in October 2012, they would switch their name to 1432, a colloquial term for I Love You Too. They performed once under this name on the show, but the judges weren't feeling it. America wasn't feeling it. It didn't have a good ring to it.
We actually had a long list of names that weren't very good. We had Girl Code, Pulse, Ladies of Choice. Ladies First. We had Future.
They went to the top 12 while Simon announced that the viewers could help decide the group name. The public chose Fifth Harmony, which had a better ring to it, but would also become a bit of an Achilles heel and a bit of a joke, with some users claiming their name is Fifth Harmony, but they are anything but harmonious, which Britney kind of killed me this season because she was not feeling them. Like when they went to the finals.
Fifth Harmony!
The reaction memes that came from this season, she did not see the vision. She didn't see the vision. But after the first round of finals, they didn't get enough votes to get to the top 2, so they finished in 3rd place. The winner of the season being Tate Stevens. Don't ask me. Shout out to you, but I don't know. I don't know who that man is.
Hope I don't sound ridiculous. I don't know who this man is. I mean, he could be walking down the street. I wouldn't know a thing.
But the story was still being written. Merely 1 month after the show concluded, Fifth Harmony was signed to Simon Cowell's Psycho Entertainment and L.A. Reid's Epic Records in January 2013. So afterwards, because the girls didn't have any original music, they posted covers onto YouTube, grabbing the attention of artists like Ed Sheeran, Ariana Grande, and they continued to build a fan base and familiarize with audiences because everyone didn't watch the show, and surprise, surprise, I didn't really either. let's talk about the debut. Their first single, Miss Moving On, was released July 16th, 2013. And the song peaked at number 76 on the Billboard Hot 100, a more than solid placement. And the video now sits at 182 million views. I want to note, with their debut single alone, it was already sowing the seeds of who got spotlight and who didn't. Ally, for example, remembers being disappointed to discover that in the song, she was only given one line and one ad-lib in their debut single. The debut. I'd be like, why am I here? But anyways. Then came their debut EP, Better Together, released October 2013, peaking at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 200, selling about 28,000 units in the first week. They also decided to start tapping into both markets very early on, so they released a Spanish version of the EP called Juntos and Juntos Acoustic on November 11th. The Spanish version of Don't Wanna Dance Alone, Que Bailas Conmigo Hoy, went up in this house. I actually like the Spanish version better than I like the English version. They started off with a very bubblegum, palatable, safe sound, but it resonated with a young girl audience. Plus, their vocal presence was felt and filled the track very well. Me and My Girls was then released as a promo single at first, exclusively to Radio Disney. And they went on a small tour called Harmonize America across the US. Yes, bringing the mall tour back. You know, we've been losing recipes, but people don't go to malls no more, so I get it. August of that year, they did a pop-up concert series in New York City. Later, they opened for Cher Lloyd's tour in September 2013, and also opened for former judge Demi Lovato's Neon Lights tour that same year. They'd go on to announce their very first concert hall tour called Fifth Harmony 2013. Super creative. Super innovative, yeah, performing across Canada and the US. They also landed a huge opportunity being able to be a part of the 2013 Jingle Ball lineup. And that year it included Ariana Grande, Selena Gomez, and Miley Cyrus, to name a few. But what a whirlwind kickstart for a year, right? Ending it by performing their song Better Together on the 2013 VMA's red carpet. This era was a precursor, establishing the group's image, seeing what works, also considering many of the members at this point were 15, 16, 17. So the teen friendly image made sense. But we got to talk about the breakthrough, or the beginning of a breakthrough. On January 14th, 2014, the group headlined MTV's Artist to Watch concert alongside acts like Tori Kelly and Jake Miller. And in early 2014, the girls candidly opened up to the press about working on their debut album, stating clearly that this project is more rhythmic and less pop. Also, as an elevated, more mature sound to follow up their youthful sound and imagery from their debut. I also realized how good they were at catering to multiple audiences in the US as well as in Latin America. They announced their fourth headlining tour, Fifth Time's a Charm, in March 2014, around the US and Puerto Rico, and they were an opening act for Austin Mahon's Live on Tour. If you were there for the Awesomeness TV days, you guys already know a lot of the lore. We'll talk about it a little bit. But little would they know, their lives were going to change more than they already had in the past 2 years. They released their album's lead single, Boss, in July 2014. And no matter how people felt about the song and its lyrics, it was everywhere. I mean, the Ray J straight, I want a Kanye, yeah, not Ray J. The Oprah and Michelle Obama name drop. It's a lot going on there, but it peaked at number 43 on the Billboard Hot 100 and would go on to certify platinum. And to show some duality, right after Boss, they released Sledgehammer, their very first top 40 on the Billboard Hot 100. So they were slowly creeping their way onto everyone's radio, regardless if you discover them on the TV show or not. And about that debut album, there was a slight delay when Epic Records shared that the album release date would be pushed to the top of 2015. And of course, fans were getting antsy. But then it arrived, their debut album, Reflection, which would end up being released February 3rd, 2015. And it debuted at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 200, selling 82,000 copies the very first week. Now keep in mind, streaming started to become more of a main mode to consume music. And not long after this release, the album was actually certified gold, so it was moving pretty quickly. They were gaining some traction. A much more mature entry than their previous singles and EP. While some of the girls may have been comfy with it, some of them did feel like some of the songs they were recording in the booth were a bit too mature lyrically and adult for them, with execs saying if they wanted to sign a Christian group, they would have. And one of these songs Ally outlined did not make the cut for the album, and all of the girls were relieved. So I guess there was some there were some questionable things happening that the girls weren't quite comfortable with. The third single from the album would change everything. Worth It was released as a single in March 2015, which featured Kid Ink. It peaked at number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100, so highest charting to date, and they were 3 for 3 with their single choices. Folks, Fifth Harmony has officially arrived. And I will say, though, it did bring up concerns about members being properly featured on songs. I believe in Worth It, Lauren doesn't have a part. Her vocals are layered on the chorus, but other than that, nothing.
I realized that this morning. I was listening to Worth It, and I was like, I don't think Lauren's on this song.
Yeah, she wasn't.
Hey, anything beats the Pussycat Doll model, okay? With Nicole sitting up there and the girls just lip syncing in the back. So I guess we'll take it, but to be fair, I understand being salty. If your biggest song, you're not on it, I'd be mad. They embarked on their Reflection tour in March as well, and the video now has 2 billion views on YouTube. The song would be one of 22 songs to be certified multi-platinum in 2015, and this single was performed everywhere, from late night shows to Dancing with the Stars. But I do want to pause and discuss the album really quick, because this project is what made me a fan. Everlasting Love, Chef's Kiss, again, very Mariah-esque sonically, but Victoria Monet actually wrote the song. She wrote on the song. And has several writing credits on this album. We Know being a sample of A Dream by DeBarge. I know I'm better off without you. The title track, Reflection, was a yes for me. Yes for me. I love Reflection. Don't put Reflection on like Mariah, Going Nowhere on the deluxe edition. So the girls would win Group of the Year at Billboard Women in Music 2015, and the album itself got ranked pretty favorably on Rolling Stone and Complex's platforms for mid-year and year-end lists. And they'd even share the stage with Taylor Swift on her 1989 tour in August 2015, giving us this gem. So now we're getting into 727. In September of 2015, the group said they were working on their second album, but it was noted that January 2016, they announced that they had left one management for another. And let's just say they did it again, y'all, choosing their lead single, Work From Home, featuring Ty Dolla $ign, which released February 2016 and peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming their highest charting song in the US while reaching the top 10 in 22 other countries. Global with it. Work. Yeah, they have the performance moment on lock, the concept, the theme, the memed performances. One thing about Fifth Harmony when they performed, everybody, it was like when you're doing a group project, but you're all being graded individually. That's where the chaos comes in. It was also the first top 5 single for a female group in almost a decade, following Buttons by the Pussycat Dolls. Work From Home was a hit, racking up 2.9 billion views on YouTube. Very current, smooth vocals, and everybody has a part. The album was named 727 the day the group was officially formed on X Factor and released March 27th, 2016. Peaking at the top 10 in 15 other countries, y'all. Global with it. I can't stress this enough. I didn't really know that people outside of the US were tapped in and tuned in. Then the summer song All In My Head Flex featuring Fetty Wap was released as this album's second single in May 2016. Trying this reggae trap feel, little dance hall, putting into perspective how they've done almost every and any style you could think of at that point. Great versatility, with Dinah and Normani, I think, really getting their time to shine on this record, vocally and visually. This was a Normani standout moment for me. The song is hot. Again, hitting the Billboard Hot 100 at number 24, they were on a roll. And this time, the girls co-wrote on this track, which we will revisit the idea of creative input, which they often lacked. So this was a big deal for them. The girls also won MTV VMAs for Work From Home and All In My Head. The award show where they entered the carpet on the tank. Y'all remember that? The antics, the gimmicks. I mean, the funny thing about them was they were dead serious. So everyone's like, are y'all serious? And they're like, yes. And we ate it up. The group was on a high, charting single after single, and were gaining more widespread recognition. But there was more going on underneath the surface, some of which harmonizers or their fans suspected. Let's talk about the beginning of the end. The group did their final performance as a group of 5, which aired on Dick Clark's New Year's Rocking Eve, December 31st, 2016. But there's a very important detail here that's missing. This performance was pre-taped prior to Camila's exit. Awkward. But it was announced that Camila was leaving the group on December 18th, 2016, so prior to this performance airing. They'd go on to continue as a group of 4. What a way to start off a new year. 2017 would be a ride. You're coming off a high. You've had the biggest hit of your career, and boom, someone leaves. Still calling themselves Fifth Harmony, even after Camila left, they got a couple jokes. In response to why they didn't get a replacement, Dinah said, quote, "The fans named us Fifth Harmony, and now they're the 5th member."
They named us Fifth Harmony, and now they're the 5th member.
Cute reasoning, a little corny, but you know, you're not going to change the name. They did their first performance as a quartet in January 2017, and many fans noticed that Lauren sang Camila's verses. Now, Camila had been doing some solo work outside of the group prior to leaving. This is very important. Being one of the only to do so very boldly and successfully while a part of Fifth Harmony, as all the girls could do their own solo thing. What's not really understood or wasn't understood at the time is behind the scenes, Camila was absolutely being pushed, and I think they really saw her as a solo artist. She had a high charting duet with Shawn Mendes called I Know What You Did Last Summer, which went platinum, and her song with MGK, Bad Things, peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100. So regardless of how good the group was doing, Camila was charting effortlessly via these duets, which doesn't happen often for group members. Remember, she was silently, and silently is not very silent, I don't even know why I just said that, pushed as the star of the group, standing out even during the X Factor days per Demi's comment.
But I feel like tonight there was only one person that shines. You.
Okay.
Which one? Camilla? Yes, I think you guys should all learn something from her.
So when you factor in that the girls were put in a group despite auditioning solo, I am positive that each of them deep down initially wanted to be a soloist and settled within the group to further their dreams. They kind of felt like they had no choice. Some members have even co-signed that in interviews later on, that in the beginning they had no intentions of being in a group.
Independently, I would not have chosen to be in a girl group. I was actually praying against it during boot camp because I knew they were trying to create a girl group. I knew that was on the agenda. But my intuition told me, but I didn't want to be a part of it.
So it's not a secret that all of them had some sort of desire to be solo. But I think once the group happened and the success happened, they were counting their blessings. But what we did know is there was controversy surrounding Camila's exit. Both parties gave conflicting explanations for why and how Camila left. So first off, Fifth Harmony's statement. They put out the first statement saying, quote, "They were informed by Camila's representatives that she was leaving Fifth Harmony," which was code for she didn't tell us herself and we had to find out from a second party, implying some sort of hurt. While Camila took to Instagram with her own statement, particularly addressing the Via Reps comment, saying, quote, "I was shocked to read the statement the Fifth Harmony account posted without my knowing. The girls were very aware of my feelings through the long, much needed conversations about the future that we had during the tour. Saying that they were just informed through my representatives that I was leaving the group is simply not true." And this created a lengthy divide between the fans. There were segments of fans who always felt Camila should go solo and didn't need the group. But there were also a lot of fans, almost a split, that did not like Camila and felt that her position in the group was overrated and overstated. The narrative that began unfolding was that the other girls were salty, that Camila's solo endeavors were panning out, while meanwhile, they're in the successful group, under control, right? They don't have as much creative freedom. And Camila's out here being able to do her own projects, and the label's investing in them. Fifth Harmony got the last word in the breakup response battle when they iterated that, quote, "Over the past several months, we have consistently made every effort to sit down and discuss the future of Fifth Harmony with Camila. We have spent the last year and a half since her initial solo endeavor trying to communicate to her and her team all of the reasons why we felt Fifth Harmony deserved at least one more album of her time, given the success of the past year that we'd all worked so hard for." Camila's saying she did tell them. They're saying, no, you didn't, and we were trying to convince you. In the girls' defense, they had every right to be irritated. They were in a great position to make a third album together. And from a business perspective and finishing what they started, it all made sense. They all worked hard. They went through tireless tours, rehearsals, studio sessions. And they were still seeing success. It wasn't like Camila was in this shitty group that can't hit the charts, but she's charting solo. But the petty rumors did not subside when in a live performance at the VMAs, In August 2017, the 4 girls, their set began in silhouettes with 5 girls standing on a platform. And in the shadows, 1 girl falls off of the platform. That girl appearing to represent Camila. Mind you, this was months after they had told tabloids they didn't want to talk about the Camila drama anymore and they wanted to put it to rest. They also would come out and say that that wasn't really what happened, that we weren't shading her. It was just saying people keep asking us about a 4th member. I definitely think they were shading her.
We get asked all the time if we're getting a 5th member, and we wanted to show the world in an artistic way that, hey, the 4 of us are 5th Harmony and we're stronger and better than we've ever been.
And to be honest, I know they're not going to get out and say that, but just stand behind it. They were shading her. The remaining members would double down that they never resented her, however, for going solo. Keep in mind, all of the girls were allowed to do solo endeavors and did. It seems like it could have been an issue, though, about how Camila's business was maneuvered. Her being prioritized already as a star in the group and now having a solo career prioritized, even though the group is successful. It was said that Camila's camp offered the idea of a hiatus, but understandably so, the girls did not want that. They were charting now. They were buzzing now. You want me to put things on hold for your solo career? And I don't care what anybody says. No one can fault them for feeling that way. But I also don't think you can fully blame Camila for wanting to leave the group, especially without having the full context, considering the conditions they were under that would later be uncovered. As much as she was unhappy, they were too. But I think they had more of a mentality to stick it out for the group. And Camila was kind of like, well, I have this opportunity now. And so in that scenario, as someone who wasn't there, I could see how both of them felt. And I don't think they were wrong for it, but in the sake of a team and a group, it would be a little hurtful to have one person going off on a limb and doing their own thing, and you just sitting back here like, but we're still successful. Like, she really doesn't want to do this. And Simon Cowell himself advised that they really consider staying together with the machine and success behind them. But girl groups are difficult, and that's no secret. You can't force anything. You have different styles stepping into womanhood at this point, different personalities and desires. So when Camila left, a lot of the 5th Harmony team went with her. A lot of the funding and the care that was in the group went with her. And I think the girls were upset with Camila because they knew that her doing this was like putting a nail in the coffin in their group career. But let's talk about the final frontier. The 4 remaining members, Normani, Ally Brooke, Dinah Jane, and Lauren Jauregui, forged forward. And their first single as a group of 4 was Down, featuring Gucci Mane, which released June 2nd, 2017. The single did debut at number 42 on the Billboard Hot 100. And by streaming numbers and performance, it was fairly successful. It wasn't like a nosedive from what they've done before. The video racking up 101 million views. This was a good sign considering the star of their group was not on the record. And I know they had a lot of looming doubts, right, when kicking off this new era. And they announced their 3rd album called 5th Harmony to really provide clarity that regardless of 4 or 5 members, they're going to stand tall in their name. They also did say they named this album like a week before it dropped. The album released August 25th, 2017, debuting at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 200, aligning with some of their previous records. Again, nothing was taking a steep nosedive yet. Their promo single, Angel, was performed at the 2017 VMAs, which is my favorite off the project. I like the sound. It was less pop, more contemporary R&B. And they had much more creative control at this point. Their second single being He Like That. And honestly, hearing Normani solo music in the future, this was so Normani coded. You could hear it. That's a cute song. The song wasn't a charting success like previous singles, but it was close to a Billboard Hot 100 entry, making it to number 1 on the Bubbling Under chart. So this was not a great result. Many fans in the comments of the music video section expressed how disappointed they were and how much the song wasn't getting pushed or picked up. Honestly though, this whole era was pay dust. Keep in mind, one of their songs off the album, Don't Say You Love Me, there was some alleged label sabotage going on according to fans, which some say was confirmed by Lauren's father. Not only did they have to fight to release the video for the song, but they paid for it. They used their own funds out of their own pocket. The label was ready to let them go, but the girls didn't feel like it was fair to end the momentous era and group success in the dust. They wanted a sentimental goodbye to their fans. So they pushed this video to be a proper farewell to the fans, because at this point they kind of knew it was over. Some boldly say that Fifth Harmony was their best album. Comment down below, is that a hot take? Do you agree? Their PSA tour began in September of 2017. And on March 19th, 2018, after some time, the group announced their indefinite hiatus, an effort to pursue solo projects. So, indefinite hiatus, I think, was a way to kind of always keep that door open, but they broke up. And we'll put a pause here to the scandal. And there's a lot. So again, I'm gonna say bathroom break. If you need to get a snack, if you need to readjust in your seat, do it right now. Camila, I'm just gonna say Camila, because there's a lot. Camila from the beginning was positioned as the star or focal point of the group, which ultimately spiraled into the jealousy narrative stemming from X Factor. She had the most followers, was the favorite of a lot of the fans, or was fiercely defended by a lot of the fans, and began intermingling with A-listers early on. With a Billboard writer saying, quote, "It was rather uncommon for someone to stand out in a collective as much as Cabello has over the past few years." I don't know, I kind of disagree though. It's quite common for there to be a standout or clear standout in a group. But I feel that comments like these underplay the strengths of other girls in the group who also had potential. These weren't just a bunch of background singers. Each of those girls had voices, right? Different tones, different styles. And Camila, though, got the most parts and ad-libs in the songs. Probably one of the most distinct vocal tones in the group. Absolutely, which made her naturally stand out. Meanwhile, Dinah was told that her voice was too soulful and needs to hold back. Meanwhile, Camila was hooting and hollering on these records. With one point, it becoming a talking point amongst fans that Camila often ruined the harmonies with all of that. Loving him was red, red, red. So Camila's being told to stand out. Clearly somebody was co-signing it. And then you have someone like Dinah, who arguably had one of the stronger voices. One of the strongest vocal presence, was not getting parts on the song.
I think some of us girls had a fair share of not getting enough light on our voices. But for me, I mean, there was a moment where I was told that my voice was too soulful. It is too strong. It's too powerful. You're a powerhouse, but we needed to bring it down a notch. So I would kind of learn from the other girls. Okay, so how are these girls getting on these records? Okay, so make it more bright.
So it did kind of become a thing where people were very split on Camila. Some people perceived Camila as a team player, while other people in the performances noticed that she would go vocally start doing her own things. The other girls would be like, what is going on? And you could argue that's also not good in the spirit of a group. If we're trying to harmonize, we're called Fifth Harmony, we're trying to harmonize right now. Why are you doing that? And also when you have producers in the room controlling who is going to sing what part, because the girls didn't choose. It's easy for girls to fall into the background, while others find themselves in the front.
It could get a little tricky when it comes to, depicting who does which solo.
Yes, definitely. We leave that to the producers, so we don't have any egocentric involvement at all.
I mean, a very smart move, because many of you in the group could feel close to a certain, solo or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it sucks for you.
It sucks if you don't get it, but it's okay.
You're like, Allie, I hate you.
The way that they were placed on songs, it was almost kind of like an audition. They would go in and cut certain parts of the song, and the producers would splice and dice it, and whoever they felt should go where, they would do it. And that's how some girls found out that they literally were not on song.
Remember, you were practicing and practicing and practicing. And then I also remember when you got the cut back, I guess weeks later, and you didn't get the parts you wanted, and you were so crushed. And at that point, I think
it was an interesting system. There was no there's no real system, but it just felt very just competitive, and I didn't want to record like that.
I find it crazy though that you were in a group and they didn't find any room for you on these records at all.
I never understood it. It was never us who chose who gets to go where. It was not in our hands. It was the producers and writers and the executive people that were above us in these labels.
I disagree personally that Camila stood out leaps and bounds above the other girls. Her vocal tone, but also she was the focal point. They really put that emphasis on her. I think it was all just really based on taste and preference. Now, we can all agree that someone like Allie, very specifically, I think was constantly overshadowed, and some people argue that she didn't really fit in with the group. Ally recalls a time asking for more lines in the group songs, and the vocal coach told her flat out, "You should be grateful that you're here. It shouldn't be about parts." Despite Simon Cowell telling Ally when they became a group that she was the glue of the group. The glue of the group was being treated like shit.
I'll never forget, Simon told me when we first got formed on X Factor, when the cameras were off, he told me, "You're the glue that holds this group together."
And it didn't help either that Fifth Harmony's label, Epic Records, had already been planning a solo album for Camila starting in 2016. They booked sessions with Benny Blanco and Diplo, which was all fair game because they could all the girls could operate solo. But those girls were not being put in the studio with those guys. That their very label was going to afford all of their resources to the star, while there was still so much untapped potential within the group. And if you look at old interviews, Camila was talking about Fifth Harmony's future back then. In 2015, when asked by Latina Magazine interviewer if she thinks the group would eventually split, she said she thinks they all do. Which I don't think she's lying about that. But quote, "We'd be lying if we said this was a picture perfect thing. Like we all completely agreed on the album track list and what the sound and the music video treatment would be like. For manufactured bands, it's harder." Which is true. She also included that they all, quote, "allow each other to do their own thing. And if they didn't, she'd go insane." And it appears that she maybe went insane, which is why she left. But I think they all had this idealized version of what this group was and what it was going to be until it wasn't that anymore. It was also said that there was some tiptoeing and secrecy happening with Camila's solo career from the beginning. For example, in 2015 with I Know What You Did Last Summer, there were unconfirmed reports, unconfirmed, okay? I'm sharing the tea with y'all. Don't quote me. But in a phone interview,
oh my God, like, you know, she was really excited and she liked it a lot, so.
Wait, you're allowed to do that? To only play it to one of the girls in the group? You all don't have to be together. Be like, "Hey ladies, check out this new song I did."
Well, she was the one that asked, so I played it for her.
There's gonna be 3 of them that are like, "Hold up, she didn't play it for us. What's up with this girl?"
I think they definitely heard it from other people, but Dinah came and asked me to play it for her.
publicly all of the girls except Ally tweeted or showed support to the record. But Normani's tweet saying it was the first time she'd heard the record. So people kind of read in between the lines that maybe this wasn't as much of a transparent agreement as Camila's trying to make it sound.
When everybody has their own thing going on or whatever, we all approach each other and we talk about it and we're like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing," or "This is what I got offered," or
So
whatever.
excited for
And we're
each
so
other.
excited for each other. Genuinely, I think it's just all about, for us, it's just, the main thing is just communication. Like, "Hey, let us know, keep us in the loop, and of course we're going to support you."
Plus, something went down when after they broke up, of course they were asked about one another in the press, specifically about Camila. And there was a noticeable awkwardness, attention, or even shade years after they split.
Really quickly, just get the unfun stuff out of the way. Are we still having bad vibes with Camila, or are we okay? Because it was unfollowing on Twitter and all this stuff, or are we cool?
Girl, we're happy.
Clearing of
We were
energy.
happy.
Yeah, we were like that.
last night.
Gotta sing
Fallon. We're on Fallon, girl.
Camila's here tonight, Normani, and it's a tough thing because you guys were a group before. Are you going into tonight? What's your feeling on seeing them? Are you excited, nervous? I know we all know how that is, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really, I haven't seen them yet. I haven't even seen them at all. But I'm sure if we run into each other, it'll be fine.
At the Teen Choice Awards and with Normani, and I was talking to her about how I feel like when a girl group in particular goes separate ways, people try to make it like there's bad blood, and she was like, "We love our sisters. We are sisters to the end."
Yeah.
Does it surprise you though that that's a response that people give?
No, I mean, there's tons of messed up stuff in the world, and I think that the internet can be such a toxic place.
Yeah. We saw Normani and Camila reunite a little bit. How are things there? Have you talked to her at all, or how are you guys doing?
I think it's kind of, we haven't really spoken or anything yet, but it's fine, chilling.
And what about the girl that's in Dancing with the Stars? She made it to the finals from your group.
Oh yeah, that's really dope.
She's in the finals.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Good for her.
And this really brings us to the overall group tension. Group tension was always palpable.
You guys really seem to get along really well. Sometimes when the groups are put together, sometimes there's one girl that doesn't get along with everyone else, but you guys really do seem like you get along really well.
We have a nice time together.
For theories that, for example, the girls didn't like Camila, or they weren't in sync with one another. Awkward clips. Maybe they didn't like each other altogether. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I also want us to humanize groups in these conversations. It's easy to point fingers, but when you're a group put together, not by choice, that can create conflicting emotions among 5 members. There's a potential member that may not be on the same page, and that's normal. So I don't want to villainize anybody too much in this scenario because A, we weren't there, but B, it's hard, period, being in a group. And it's unrealistic to think that everybody's going to agree. But there was this clear narrative being painted. Victim and villains. There was always a victim and villains edit happening within this group. Camila, in a lot of people's story, was often the victim. And although there were a segment of Fifth Harmony fans that didn't like her, okay, like she did get a lot of shit. She was teased a lot. A lot of nasty things were said. There were also a lot of people who counteracted that by really propping Camila up. And it was kind of a split. Some people thinking, Camila, she's the talented one. She's the star. They're simply jealous. That's why they're isolating her. Like, even when Demi made the comment on X Factor, people were in the comments saying, look at the comments of the YouTube video. See how their faces immediately turned sour? Look at how Camila still tried to hype them up despite their attitudes. How did you read all of that from that one clip? Even from the beginning, though, these were young girls with emotions. If you were standing on that stage and a judge basically said you gave nothing, wouldn't you feel some type of way regardless of someone else being praised in tandem? Mind you, these girls didn't know each other from a can of paint. People read into that too much and held on to it. And throughout their quintet run, there are numerous videos and montages that fans had put together of Camila seemingly being ignored, singled out, or on the outs with the girls. There was definitely something going on, fueling that the girls were never really friends for real, but rather for group's sake in optics.
Yeah. Do you have any tour plans happening soon?
My favorite thing about the UK is the fashion. Yeah. I absolutely love how on point everyone is and how well put together the entire city looks, honestly. It's just a very, it's not even good. It's not.
Your beautiful eyes stare right into mine. For me, it would probably be this morning when I tried to make a joke and nobody laughed. No one laughed. That was so kind of nobody really laughed. I mean, that happens like every day though, so I'm kind of used to it by now. I don't know if
And those smiles straight ahead. Fifth Harmony straight ahead. Hold that right there. Big smile.
Straight leg to the middle. First two.
Because it literally made my life.
I guess I would switch minds with Lauren because I just like the way her mind works.
Very interesting. So.
While other people interpret a lot of the awkward pictures as Camila trying to distance herself or purposely trying to stand out or appear as a solo artist. So honestly, this fandom, the Harmonizers, there was a lot of dissonance, cognitive dissonance, people who saw things completely different. And I'm sure this affected the girls. The girls had social media. They saw what was going on. And in my personal opinion, I do believe at one point that the girls had a bond, a genuine bond. I think they got along. I think they liked each other. There's a lot of people who feel like they never liked each other. I don't believe that, especially in the beginning, like the Awesomeness TV days during their debut. But tension absolutely grew. Some lines were starting to be drawn in the sand that maybe four were friends, but Camila appeared to be on the outskirts, with some fans speculating that maybe while Camila was off doing her solo endeavors, the other four built a closer bond. For example, there was a picture that was posted in December 4th, 2015 on Fifth Harmony's Twitter showing only four members being at the studio session, which fueled rumors that she was going solo. But Camila made it clear, saying, quote, "Actually, I've never missed a Fifth Harmony recording session or any Fifth Harmony commitment ever. I was at the studio yesterday too." A lot of this narrative fueled by fans, but there was some truth to it. Y'all were on to something. But at one point around 2015, Camila formed a deeper friendship with Taylor Swift, maybe 2016, where, for example, Taylor Swift threw Camila a surprise birthday party. And noticeably, the other members weren't there. So people assume that they may have not been invited. And some fans noted that when Taylor Swift came up in group interviews, because of course people would ask them about her, Camila would gush over their hangouts and the other girls kind of looked a certain way.
Taylor, my friend Taylor Swift, it's crazy. She invited me over because
freaking cool.
So yeah, awesome. She was basically, we were texting and she asked me what I was gonna do for my birthday, and at the time I wasn't doing anything. I was just like eating with my family. And she's like,
oh, well, you can't do nothing for your birthday. Come over. She invited me to come over, and she was so sweet. She, like, got cakes. We were, like, texting about Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, and she had Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles there. She, like, invited a bunch of people over and made me feel really special and nice, and she's really great. She's a really, really cool friend.
I don't know. This was Camila getting closer to some of these A-listers and doing things outside of the group, so maybe naturally the other girls were getting a bit closer while she was distancing herself. And speaking of 2015, it was said that the 4 other girls outside of Camila hired a lawyer, Dina Lapolte, to fix their contracts with Epic Records. And in 2016, Fifth Harmony's lawyer started the process to transfer their trademark from Simon to the girls, noting that Camila was not included in this paperwork. So there were lines drawn in the sand, and I think from both sides, Camila maybe felt she wasn't welcomed in the group, while maybe on the other side, they felt like she thought she was bigger than the program. And according to sources close to the group, it was reported by Billboard that there were multiple attempted interventions between the girls. Therapists on the road to help them sort out their issues, a claim that was made by an unnamed insider, so take that a little bit with a grain of salt. Even meeting with L.A. Reid to sort out the group's internal conflicts, which Camila was allegedly a no-show to. It was said that most of these interventions would turn into a 4 against 1, and to give Camila some grace. Regardless of what was going on behind the scenes, anytime you feel ganged up on, you are going to shut down. So it was said that Camila would have to go to each group member one-on-one to mitigate their issues during their 727 Europe tour.
How was the dynamic? Like, could you have already seen that, now there's only 4 girls, obviously, did you feel any of that?
Yeah. And in 2024, Camila would tell E! News years later that she's very aware at the time that she didn't have conflict resolution skills. And she was a teenager, guys. I mean, like, I'm not holding her feet to the fire. Like,
You needed to know how to handle the situation.
I think it was a lot of business people that was creating a lot of this tension that exacerbated it. And that would maybe align with what some of the girls were saying, that she didn't want to talk about these things, that she ignored it, that she ran away from it. So years later, when the remaining 4 members spoke candidly on their experience, it was made no secret that there was onstage breakdowns and family feuding, if you will. After Camila's departure, Fifth Harmony made some comments in a 2017 Galore interview. Dinah said, "Let's just say we're in a better place now. There are no secrets in this circle." And this was a shocker for people because Dinah and Camila always seemed very close. People never thought that their bond and friendship would break.
The first member to leave the group was Mina. And are you guys cool?
I haven't talked to her, but she looks like she's kind of me.
She does?
Yeah.
Well, why haven't you spoke? You guys were so close at one point. What do you think happened?
I feel like she's in a good place, and I feel like with any type of relationship, you kind of, in a way, outgrow each other.
Years later, the girls couldn't escape the jealousy and tension claims. At the 2018 VMAs, Tiffany Haddish openly dissed Fifth Harmony. Camila was having a big night. Nominated for several MTV VMAs, even taking home video of the year, Tiffany thought it would be fun to poke at her former bandmates.
She's nominated for 5 VMAs tonight. 5 of them. I'm super proud of her. So those of you watching at home, hi Fifth Harmony.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh God.
And Nicki Minaj would later go on to shut that shit down.
And Tiff, don't be coming for Fifth Harmony because Normani is that.
There was always this running narrative that Fifth Harmony was bitter, untalented, and seething at Camila's solo success that she'd achieved. And this had been brewing for years. And as much as harmonizers fueled the rumors, they were absolutely onto something. And Camila did distance herself, because in a 2024 Call Her Daddy interview, Camila did expand on her departure years later.
On tour and going to my hotel room at like 7 a.m. and going to my GarageBand and like writing songs because I didn't want to like, do it while everybody was there. And I just like, I had such a passion for that turned into writing. And at first I was like, oh, maybe like I want to write for other people. But then it turned into like, no, actually like I want to sing these songs by myself. And I started just like distancing myself from, I feel like, the group vision. And it felt like, they were still like really passionate and into that. And so I just was like, I'm not happy here anymore. Like it doesn't feel aligned.
Outside of Camila being the epicenter of a lot of the discourse, there were tons of messy moments, speculations with other members, like the mini outbursts when Lauren was stressed about not getting the good side of Lauren was often very emotional. There were like clips of her crying and getting very worked up. When Fifth Harmony toured with Austin Mahone and Camila got into a relationship with Austin, many girls were jealous of that. And years later, some people feel like looking back at those clips, which I talked about in Austin Mahone's video, that low-key it seemed like maybe Austin was feeling Normani a bit, which would be a precursor for all of the flirting he does in her Instagram comments till this day. And Austin, Shawn Mendes, and Fifth Harmony being on the same tour. Considering Camila's dating history, people were like, that's a teenage mess right there. A clip of the girls signing autographs and Normani visibly being ignored by some fans, right? That sparked a lot of debate on why are they ignoring her. Allie saying she was bullied for being the worst dancer in Fifth Harmony. When management suggested that Allie get bangs, the girls teased her, not realizing how sensitive she was about them. Because y'all know that bangs are not always the move. Bangs rarely work for anyone. She said that the girls called her coconut head. And although the girls may have meant no harm, this brought feelings up for Allie of being embarrassed, feeling unpretty.
Allie, is there another celebrity people say you look like? Say it.
Okay, when she had bangs, she looked like Coconut Head from Feds Declassified. That's so fun.
The shadow of doubt seemed to always follow Allie specifically. I think she always felt insecure in her position.
Felt like I wasn't good enough, and people around me told me that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't cool enough, I wasn't valued, nobody cared about me.
And that was something that I don't know if she took personal, but must have contributed to that environment. It was also unfortunate that the fan base in a lot of ways was toxic. Lauren was harassed about her sexuality. There were rumors that Lauren was dating Camila or that they were attracted to each other. And years later, in an interview with Becky G, Lauren came out and said that it was very traumatizing for her.
I was 18 and absolutely not trying to come out to the public. I absolutely didn't want, people thought Camila and I were like into each other. And that made me so uncomfortable, like disgustingly uncomfortable, because I was queer, but she was not. And it made me feel like a predator, essentially. Clips people would put together and the type of stories people would write and the type of stuff, I was always the aggressor and I was always the one turning her. And I was always the one who was like the masculine energy in the scenario. Did not have that connection with her. Camila and I were just very good friends at that time.
I will say this to kind of round out this group tension. Fans even felt more validated in all of these theories when Camila unfollowed all of her bandmates in July 2017, with them unfollowing her right back, except for Dinah. It's kind of confusing. We don't know who all unfollowed who first, but this is when people paid attention to it. So now we got to get into another scandal, the tweets. The tweets. In her solo endeavors, Normani has later opened up and expressed the hardships of being the only Black girl in Fifth Harmony, with its own unique set of challenges. And in August 2016, Normani had to leave Twitter due to unjust hate from the group's own fans. In an August 2016 interview, Normani visibly hesitated when asked to find something she liked about Camila, settling with the words quirky and cute.
And then Camila.
Fifth Harmony was touring when Normani gave this interview to Galore magazine.
Very quirky.
That tiny pause unleashed a torrent of vile trolling.
I was getting racial slander, images of me being whipped, beaten, and it really affected me.
People pointed out that she had these longer, elaborate explanations for Allie, Lauren, and Dinah. And because of that, she was subjected to racist trolls. It got so bad that she had to leave Twitter. In a statement posted to Twitter, she said that she was being racially cyberbullied with horrific pictures that were edited of her. I cannot show them. A lot of people were like, why isn't Camila saying anything? Like, what's going on? Your bandmate is like, your fans are coming at her racially. And to me, I'm going to be honest, at the time, I felt like Camila's response was passive. She goes, you don't have to hate on somebody else to support me. I don't appreciate it, and it's not what I'm about. Be kind or move on. You would have thought they were just saying to Normani that her hairline was uneven. No, because all of the girls got a level of hate, but this was some of the worst that I had ever seen. Normani in later years goes to tell Billboard the insecurity that she had being in the group alone. So this also brought up feelings of inferiority that she already felt, saying, quote, you think, why am I the least followed in the group? Even if you don't recognize that you're paying close attention to it, it takes a toll on your confidence. You worry, is it me? Is it because I'm Black or I'm not talented? And we know the not talented portion wasn't true. Normani doesn't get credit vocally, but I always felt like she had a beautiful vocal tone, and she carried the performances and drew attention visually. She was oftentimes the only one who was really hitting the step. So she said that yes, the girls during their time did try to be there for her, but none of them could fully understand because that wasn't their experience. And I can't blame them for not understanding that. Actually, years later, she admitted that her other group members didn't readily always come to her defense amidst some of these racial online attacks. She felt like the other one in the room oftentimes. And I know how that feels. I know a lot of us know how that feels. So I have a lot of empathy with her for that. And when she competed on Dancing with the Stars in 2017, Normani turned that pain into art and spoke more openly on the racism she dealt with by the fans while in the group. So in December 2019, way after Fifth Harmony had disbanded for good, it was a shock when, well, for some people, when Camila's past social media posts resurfaced. A girl in a group who had a closet of hidden posts that I'm sure she thought no one would ever find. Posts from her old Tumblr account surfaced from 2012. Yes, the same year she auditioned for X Factor. We could talk about that. I guess some of these screenshots had resurfaced over the years, but they were always kind of swept under the rug. Her fans would say
they're not real.
But I don't know. It was until one day in 2019, these screenshots captured media attention. And I believe this was amidst Camila releasing her 2019 album. And before you say, how do you know these are real? Camila came out with a statement confirming that they were, that she said these things. And of course, she centered one of the reasons of this being her age.
When I was younger, I used language that I'm deeply ashamed of and will regret forever. I was uneducated and ignorant. Well, at 15, we were all uneducated and ignorant, but not to race. There's certain things, if you were raised up, not dragged up. And once I became aware of the history and the weight of the true meaning behind this horrible and hurtful language, I was deeply embarrassed and I ever used it. You know what? Sit down.
She says she's only ever stood for love and inclusivity. And I don't think she should have chose the word ever, because those posts are a clear indication that that is not what that is. And as the news dropped, many people looked at Normani. How does she feel about this news? What is she going to say? She initially stayed silent because it's not her responsibility to co-sign the apology, to forgive, or honestly do anything for that matter. They're not group mates anymore. But months later, she wrote in an open email, 2020, and a few quotes stood out here. It would be dishonest if I said that this particular scenario didn't hurt me. It was devastating that this came from a place that was supposed to be a safe haven and a sisterhood. Normani also revealed something telling that confirmed people's feelings about how Camila handled the hate that Normani got over that interview in 2016. Normani said, quote, "It took her days for her to acknowledge what I was dealing with online, and then years for her to take responsibility for the offensive tweets that had recently surfaced." Because mind you, some of these tweets had surfaced over the years, but it was never fully addressed. And whether or not it was her intention, she said, "This made me feel like I was second to the relationship that she had with her fans." So in 2021, when Camila said she went to weekly racial healing sessions, is it that hard to not be racist? Like, I've never heard anybody going to racial healing sessions. Somebody called it racist rehab. I laughed. And some people were like, what do you guys want her to do? I don't know, guys. It's not my job to understand why people come out the womb. Not even growing up with Black people like that and not liking, I don't know. But she'd go on to partner with the Movement Voter Fund to help launch the Healing Justice Project, providing different funds to BIPOC. Whenever I read BIPOC, I feel like it's saying like bisexual people of color. Black, Indigenous. Okay, sorry. Like, I will say this, that a lot of the non-affected group were open arms accepting her apology till this day and seeing this as a gallant effort to change. Personally, when this came out, at the time, it was not my ministry to give her a cookie.
Camila Cabello, you know what? You can have several seats.
I wanted to highlight specifically on what Normani went through, especially being painted as a villain in Fifth Harmony lore against Camila a lot, when in reality, there were things happening on the other end. So the perspective of her own battles and trauma were not, I don't think, evaluated as much at the time. It seems as of 2024, however, Normani and Camila have interacted publicly, and there have been a level of healing there, or rather being cordial at least, with Camila saying, quote, "It doesn't feel like we're strangers. We're getting back to the times where we were really close." For this last section in Scandals, I want to talk about the lack of respect and creative control. For the girls, there was always this desire to prove their artistic prowess, that they weren't merely this made-for-TV creation. It wasn't until their third album, however, that they got the opportunity Full Throttle. Now, prior to this, there was a lack of sonic focus or musical identity after a while, which makes sense when you find out that they really had no say in their collaborators, creation of the music, and sometimes receiving songs the day before the session. And if you look at old interviews, the girls were lying.
And we've definitely gotten to say a lot more that we wanted to say this time around than last time, and we have more input, and we feel like people are listening to us more so this time around because we know exactly what we want to do, we know what the plan is, and we know what we want to talk about.
So there's some of your co-writes are on the album, you're actually writing stuff on it. That's kind of unusual because sometimes when you come from a TV show, they just want you to sing.
People think that it's like there's no creative
And especially like on
energy
your first
behind
album,
us.
you would want to,
But
we're really blessed that we're so involved in the creative process and the writing process.
If you look at the interviews up and down, they saying that. But years later, after the group disbanded, they were candid that that was not the case.
Touring the same songs over and over again is exhausting.
And songs that we were given, so.
Boring. Oh? Exactly. We weren't even like really believing in those songs either.
They weren't in control of their destiny, with Lauren expressing that it's, quote, "overwhelming to have your entire life planned for something you don't feel passionate about at all." So for a while, writing was only a hobby for a lot of the girls. And Camila put this bluntly in a 2016 Billboard interview, she was in the group at the time, that, quote, "nobody wrote on this album." And an audio leaked in 2016 of Lauren talking to Allie saying they were treated like literal slaves.
Decisions on a regular basis to fuck us over, to make us literal slaves. Like literally slaves, Allie. We're doing fucking labor every day and we see nothing.
Where years later in a 2021 podcast episode, Allie Brooke opened up candidly saying that there was so much toxicity and abuse of power.
My time in Fifth Harmony, I didn't enjoy it. So much abuse of power, so much mental abuse.
The girls all contend that they were plagued with anxiety and began resenting performances. And this may be where there was such a lack of synchronicity in dance movement. The harmonies were not tight.
You say, yeah, 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 yeah.
So once you unveil all of this, their hearts weren't fully in it because they weren't allowed to be. Lauren at one point said she felt like a zombie for 4.5 years, nonstop tour performances, albums, and award shows. But this fight for autonomy really began actively in late 2015, where Fifth Harmony contacted music lawyer Dina LaPolte. We talked about her briefly, who helped the girls outside of Camila transfer their trademark from Simon Cowell to the group members. They also cleaned house, negotiating a better contract with Epic Records, but they still didn't have all of the control that they desired over the music itself. This process took some time. But I'm gonna say this, y'all. A light bulb just went off. They may have just told on themselves, because this agreement, according to Billboard, was signed in April 2016, this trademark, which is prior to Camila's departure from the group, which was in December 2016. Dina was interviewed by the press, and the only thing she kept saying when asked about Camila was saying she does not represent Camila. And it does not name Camila in the Fifth Harmony partnership. So this supports Camila's claims that maybe they weren't blindsided, that they were starting to take steps to protect their own interests because they knew that Camila had desires of going solo. I'm just saying. If I'm wrong, which I could be painting this picture wrong, I could be. But that does kind of support Camila's claim. Maybe her management was doing their own negotiations and things like that. But when Dina says, I don't represent Camila, and that's all she would give the information to, it seems like there was stuff that she was withholding. Anyways, Dina, who is a reputable music lawyer, sat the girls down and told them explicitly that this was, quote, the worst contract she has ever seen in the music business. Allie, Lauren, and Dinah as well have said that the checks for Worth It and Work From Home just stopped coming in at one point.
Unfortunately, we don't get anything off of streams. But thank God for Sound Exchange. Sound Exchange is amazing. And that we get about 5,000 a month. But
per each member?
Yes. But that has gone away now and we're not sure why. So it's crazy. It's messed up. It's not what you think.
Like when those songs play, do you get any royalty? Is the answer no?
It's not gonna pay my rent.
And when recording 727, they did have a new A&R at Epic, Chris Anacute, who said verbatim that afterwards they were, quote, uninspired, beaten up, bruised. They weren't gelling. You could tell there were some things going on between the girls, issues with management. They started venting their insecurities and desire to write songs, and I realized they were never a part of it. He's actually the one that pushed L.A. Reid to commit to a third album for the girls after Camila's exit. And Camila revealed in a 2017 interview that Fifth Harmony is an entity or identity outside of all of us. And I don't think anybody felt individually represented by the sound. We didn't make it. So it's safe to say that this stifled the girls' desire to be in the group or create lasting longevity, spiraling into the many issues they had in sustaining the group. So let's talk about their solo careers and where are they now? So Allie. In June 2017, Allie's first solo appearance was on Lost Kings' Look at Us Now featuring A$AP Ferg. It was April, though, of 2018 when she confirmed that she was crafting a debut album, but was later derailed when she announced she signed to Latium Entertainment and Atlantic Records. She released her debut single, Vámonos, in November 2018, so it seemed like they were starting to go the Latin route. You can see singers like Becky G, which that really worked out in her favor. Her first official debut solo single was Low Key and released January 2019, which charted on the Billboard Bubbling Under at number 18. And a single with A Boogie also came out following in May of that year. Her goal was to release a debut album by 2020, but COVID had other plans. She then recorded the theme song for Nick's show, The Casa Grandes. And in 2019, she competed in the 28th season of Dancing with the Stars, getting third place. And after some solo performances, events, opening for Miss Universe pageant that year, and releasing another single called No Good, she'd stayed in public view, but also was not afforded these big wig opportunities as much. Allie's overall been very outspoken on her time in Fifth Harmony. Outspoken, but a bit censored. Her book released finally in October 2020, which details her personal experiences in the group. But in this book, she was also transparent about how she felt low for a while after the group left. She was angry.
I was so angry.
I'm torn. Fifth Harmony, in my opinion, had so much more to go,
Oh,
so much
don't
more
get me
road
started.
to travel.
I was so angry. I was so angry when it ended. I was pissed. I think I sent a message being like, guys, we have so much more to give.
And also, while Normani, Lauren, and Dinah would get signed solo to these record labels, she was constantly being met with closed doors until she'd later go on to sign with Atlantic. So again, Allie has always had this theme of this insecurity or not feeling good enough. In 2020, she released her first Spanglish single, 500 Veces? 500 Veces? I don't know how to say 500 in Spanish, sorry. And would go on to drop several more singles. In 2021, she was cast in her first movie role, High Expectations, playing a character named Sophia. But she still teased that album release and shared that it would potentially be out in 2021. Girl, I don't know what it is with the curse of these Fifth Harmony girls trying to drop a debut album. Coming back and signing later with an indie label in 2021, she said her debut album would be in Spanish. She also featured on a song called Break with the band Santana. Yes, Santana as in Carlos Santana, as in the icon, the legend, Carlos Santana. And if you don't know who Carlos Santana is, then girl, I need you to, after you're done closing this laptop, look him up. That's an icon. That's a legend right there. So that's a huge deal for Allie. Ultimately, she decided to go another route sonically. So they put a pin in the Spanish sound and she returned to pop music, signing under a new record deal in 2023, where she released a single called Gone to Bed. She and Dinah actually linked up for a Christmas song in December 2023 called Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, and it marked the first collaboration between members since their disbandment in 2018.
For that was through a publicist. I think Dinah reached out to my publicist because we lost each other's numbers. I think she got a new one, or we both did. And so she reached out through the publicist to invite me. That was very nice.
And as for her personal life, recently she married her longtime boyfriend, Will Bracey, in May 2025. He was actually Fifth Harmony's tour manager, where they initially met in 2014, where they allegedly eloped recently. So no one was there. Nobody was there except for the pastor. So overall, it appears that Ally still has not released a solo album, just a lot of singles. And don't worry, we will talk about why and what may be on the horizon, but sit tight. We gotta go to Dinah next. A fun fact, back in 2015, our Polynesian princess Dinah auditioned to play the main voice actor in Moana, but did not land the role. In October 2017, she appeared in a Red One song called Boom Boom alongside Daddy Yankee and French Montana. She'd also get the opportunity in November of that year to sing the Tongan national anthem at the 2017's Rugby League World Cup semifinal game. And guess what, y'all? There was some controversy with this, apparently. Who would have guessed? Literally, I'm not even saying that sarcastically. There were people upset about this. People were sitting there saying, this is what I saw, that she was taking the spotlight away from the game. While a Tongan adversary council member believes that the anthem is designed to be sung in a group and should have been sung by a small choir. With some people irritated that they, quote, got caught up with an international star and individual. So you're telling me that she is one of the first Tongan, probably the first Tongan, international superstar. One of the few Polynesian superstars, and some people in her own community were upset that she was just representing her culture. Come on, y'all. Come on. I was like, oh my gosh, the fact that people were even trying to turn that sour sucks. And in December 2017, she did a Christmas medley with Leona Lewis, which, by the way, she has said for years was one of her greatest vocal inspirations back in the Fifth Harmony days. A year later, in August 2018, she signed a deal with Hitco Entertainment, founded by L.A. Reid. And even back in the X Factor days, he did seem to take a liking to her off of initial impression. And this is where she released her debut single, Bottled Up, featuring Ty Dolla $ign in September 2018. I always thought that Dinah had some sort of star quality there that could be a standalone. In April 2019, she released her debut EP, Dinah Jane 1, very creative name, and preceded the release with several solo singles. She also set out on a tour called the Dinah Jane World Tour, set to begin in April 2020, but as you guys know, COVID had other plans, so it had to be postponed, and then a 3-year hiatus ensued, something that she opened up about on Zach Sing's podcast.
Inner demons that I had to face. I told my parents, I don't want this no more, and they took it really hard. I was like, you guys can keep everything, just keep everything. And I forget to put me first. So that's what kind of made me want to just give up and not ever do music again.
She made a comeback with her single Yaya in August 2023, and again, kind of just doing the singles thing like her former bandmate Ally. She released her second EP, Juice County Volume 1, on August 30th, 2024. And she was really able to begin tapping into her Polynesian roots musically and visually, and marry that with her art, a piece of her that was often suppressed in Fifth Harmony. I could be wrong, but I don't remember that being something that they really let Dinah talk about. Like, oh, I'm Tongan and I'm Polynesian. And beginning November 2024, she embarked on her Road Less Travel tour, hitting 5 cities. And I honestly always thought she'd do a bit more in her solo career. She had this voice, stage presence, but it never fully actualized for her. I think, though, she was just very scarred from everything that happened, and I do not blame her. I don't blame any of these girls for that. Then we got Lauren. While in the group, Lauren did begin discovering solo songwriting with the 2016 song Back to Me featuring Marian Hill. This is an opportunity to explore her artistry and discover who she was as an individual artist. She was featured in Halsey's song Strangers, with Billboard saying, quote, that this was the long overdue bisexual milestone in mainstream music. She'd feature on Ty Dolla $ign's song In Your Phone in 2017, whom she dated for a period of time between 2017 to 2019. My guess is that they met during their Fifth Harmony collaboration days, but it was a bit of an unexpected pair, so fun fact. And she really dove into her producer-songwriting bag on All Night with Steve Aoki in November 2017. She's an artist with her hand in every part of the creative process. She's open for the Latin American leg for Halsey's World Tour in June 2018. And finally, in October 2018, Lauren released her solo debut single, Expectations, under Columbia Records. And for the Birds of Prey movie, Lauren co-wrote and sang Invisible Chains, released February 2020. And she even got into her Spanish bag, releasing Nada featuring C. Tangana, and also another song called Lento. And one thing about Lauren is she has always been very vocal about social justice issues, working in mental health advocacy, speaking on criminal justice, elections, immigration, gun violence, speaking against the current president, speaking openly about LGBTQ issues and what's going on in Palestine, that she has lost opportunities about, that she has been blackballed in some ways.
Hard to be an artist with a platform and use it for something like social justice because you get blackballed. Straight up. Oh yeah, so many times. So many opportunities have come off the table because I care about the world.
But over the years, she has formed a relationship with producer Quincy Jones, per his invitation that she performed at the Montreux Jazz Festival in 2019. She has a very beautiful jazzy tone, so that does not surprise me that, you know, she had a lot of respect by some of the greats in the industry because she respects her craft. Her debut solo project, Prelude, was scheduled for release in 2020, but you guys already know the catchphrase, COVID had other plans. So it would be officially released in November 2021. With her functioning independently at this point and parting ways with Columbia Records, she released under her own label, Attunement Records. Now, Lauren announced her own tour, an evening with Lauren Jauregui, spanning to South America in October 2022. And she's recently opened for Jessie J's show in Sao Paulo, Brazil. But otherwise, guys, it's also been pretty sporadic with the music releases. And she's focused, I think, more on her social impact. That's been her bag, like marrying the music to her beliefs. And I think that is a great use of her time. And I believe she has a project that she's gearing up to release an album coming out soon. Now we'll go into Camila. I'm going to say this for Camila and Normani. I think, going to shorten it a bit just because we have followed their careers more openly. I did talk about Camila's solo endeavors briefly. It's safe to say that she has had the most success as a soloist. Her debut standalone single, Crying in the Club, released May 2017. Her song Havana featuring Young Thug was really her breakthrough single, which initially released in September 2017. First #1 hit and went global, y'all. It blew up. And it became Spotify's most streamed song ever by a solo female artist in June 2018. Other singles like Never Be the Same made a splash on the charts, and she released her debut album Camila in January 2018. Still visible and on fire, landing another #1 single with Señorita featuring Shawn Mendes in June 2019. After her second album, Romance, released December 6, 2019, her rollout was fairly stunted in this era by the racist tweets resurfacing, with many people looking at her sideways, and I will say I think this hurt her a lot. Regardless, though, because you know that don't really hurt too much for too long, she'd go on to be in a film adaptation for Cinderella released in September 2021 that got questionable to mixed reviews. She had a really good run for several years with My Oh My, Don't Go Yet, with the lead single off of her third album, Familia, which would go on to release in April 2022. And she had a really stark rebrand with her CXOXO album released June 2024, which was controversially received considering it being the beginning of her hyperpop era. She really switched it up. I Love It featuring Playboi Carti was in contrast to anything she had released. And she also had a Lil Nas X feature, which actually, guys, did not chart. It did not really do anything. And I would say since 2022, she hadn't really been able to garner as much attention, specifically in the charts like she had. So a lot of people have felt like her solo career fizzled out a bit, with people having less concern for what she's doing. Overall, she's really been subject, outside of the music, to people not quite liking her and making jokes about it. I remember when she became a full-time coach on The Voice, and it became a running joke that the audience was not messing with her or her jokes. They didn't find her funny.
I actually brought my goat today.
Did you?
Bring him out! I'm kidding. This crowd hates me.
She's on fire, folks.
Will you guys please laugh at one of her jokes?
Probably be this morning when I tried to make a joke and nobody laughed.
So this has always been something that's followed her, even after Fifth Harmony. And as for her personal life, many of you guys know that she dated Shawn Mendes on and off since July 2019. And while the relationship caused a lot of controversy because many people were convinced that they were a PR relationship, I mean, y'all got these 2 hit songs, one of them being a #1, with paparazzi pictures that seemed to be very staged, they did maintain it was real. But they'd go on to split in November 2021. Camila's still out here, still plotting on her solo career. I'm assuming that she'll wait a minute to release a lot because CXOXO did okay. I think she's gonna pivot back to the sound that she was doing before. Lastly, we'll talk about Normani briefly. While many people coined Camila as the star, performance-wise, a lot could argue that Normani always stood out unequivocally from a visual and performance aspect. Appearing on season 24 later of Dancing with the Stars, finishing in 3rd in 2017. After the group concluded, she starred on Love Lies with Khalid in February 2018, which performed extremely well, climbing to #9 on the Billboard Hot 100. Initially labeled as a sleeper hit, it is now 5 times platinum. And I remember when she performed this at the BBMAs, we were all shook. I was like, oh, the solo career needs to happen yesterday. She needs to be a star. She'd go on to sign with RCA Records in April 2018 and proceeded forward, collabing with a multitude of artists over the years. She even released a joint EP with Calvin Harris. She had other wildly successful collab singles like Waves and Dancing with a Stranger in 2019, which reached #7 in the US, being the most played global radio song in 2019. So she was on a roll, breaking records left and right. So in March 2019, she was the opening for Ariana Grande's Sweetener tour. And in August 2019, she came out with her solo debut single, Motivation, Motivation, Motivation. And fans were finally fed. The music video deserving its 10s, all of the 10s, with a song co-written by the Ariana Grande. Normani admits she wasn't initially sold on this pop record. It proved to be successful for her, reaching #33 on the Billboard Hot 100. Then Wild Side followed in July 2021, which was the biggest single of her career thus far. And what felt like would be the perfect time to drop a debut album, we waited and waited and waited and waited, and fans began to cry about what felt like wasted potential. All of these years waiting for an album, best believe when her debut album was finally released in June 2024, fans were later pissed that it got little to no promo, no tour, no music videos, nothing, nada, zilch, zero. And for the most part, she's went ghost on her solo career. My girl done popped out with a ring though. In her personal life, she's now engaged to football player DJ Metcalf. What a lot of people did not know, when she wasn't releasing all of this, both of her parents got cancer. They both got sick, and it was like a back and forth scenario, and she needed to be there for her family. So we got to realize these guys are not just like singing. They're real people with real lives. So she's been through a lot mentally over the last, honestly, decade. But yes, that is kind of where everybody is now. And to really finish this video, this is the longest video I have ever made, the group's future. It was recently reported that Fifth Harmony is in talks about reuniting without Camila. Surprise, surprise. On May 25th, 2025, rumors initially sparked when Ally, Dinah, and Lauren were spotted sitting courtside at an LA Sparks game. Now, what may have been an uncalculated girls' night out may have actually been very purposeful and hinting at a near announcement. PR, baby. They were very visible, filming a lot of TikToks and content in reference to their Fifth Harmony past. And recently, Lauren and Dinah popped out at the Cowboy Carter tour together. So it's safe to say that some of the girls have still maintained a strong bond over the years. I wouldn't say strong, but maybe they're getting back to a place where they feel like they're healing and they can connect. But it's also hearsay, and insiders told The Hollywood Reporter that allegedly, and for 2026, the source said that they are planning a documentary to build up their onstage return as Fifth Harmony. Kind of makes sense why they'd want to do it. But it's not surprising, however, that Camila is not in this conversation, and I don't really think she wants to be. I'm sure it's all mutual. And as exciting as they might have thought this announcement would be, many were hung up very specifically about Normani going back, saying, quote, "This is not supposed to be Normani's story." And this got a lot of likes and interaction. Like, no, girl. Like, you're not supposed to go back to the group. You're supposed to You're supposed to be taking over the world, right? And people questioning it if it makes sense and if this will fully put the nail in the coffin for Normani's solo career. I just, some things are really good as a moment in time. And I don't know. I don't know about that. But I want to leave it up to you guys. Are you psyched for a Fifth Harmony reunion? Do you think it should even happen, or do you think that time is up, that the ship has sailed? So that's what happened to Fifth Harmony. Please let me know, what do you guys think of this story? Comment by section. I don't know, there's so much to unpack and dive into. Comment a sparkle emoji if you made it to the end. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button down below if you want to see more videos like this. Make sure you guys click the link in my description down below to check out Paired. It also helps your girl out tremendously, so check them out. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.